Hello and welcome to the video. This is video number 3 in a series looking at getting started with VATSIM. Today we are going to concentrate on the approach phase, although this video will look at taxi out and recapping on air traffic phraseology and the procedures for taxiing out departure, but then looking a little bit more at the en route phase and, as I say, the approach. We are setting up at St. Petersburg today because traffic levels are light. There's a VATSIM event, so we know air traffic will be manned, and they've got delivery, ground tower, and radar. And we're heading to Helsinki, where the same applies. They've got a VATSIM event on and should have air traffic manned. As ever, I'm going to film this in a oneer, so there may well be errors like just then, and as I'm doing this afterwards, this bit of voiceover, I know that there is one big error towards the end. I don't pick up the ILS because I make a misselection in the cockpit. Let's see if you pick that up. However, what it leads to is quite an interesting scenario with air traffic, which is whereby I can't acquire the ILS, and so I continue visually. It's not the most perfectly flown visual approach by any standards, but at least it exposes you to the air traffic communications that can occur in that situation. I think in reality, what would happen in that situation is I would have executed the missed approach, but let's see what you would have done when we get to that stage of the video. Okay, so we're all ready to go. Flight plan is in, and I am just about to get in touch with Polkov ground. Polkov ground, good evening, Scandinavian 51 Tango, stand 103, ready for push and start.
Last call sign, please say again your call sign.
Scandinavian 51 Tango, stand 103, ready for push and start.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, ground. Hello, push and start approved on Charlie facing north.
Push and start approved on Charlie facing north, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Okay, so let's have a quick look on here again, because really I should have taken you through the whole concept of what to expect. So I've asked for taxi. Yep, Charlie is this taxiway here pointing north. That all makes sense because we're heading to runway 10, which is up here, and so that we don't come back on here again, when I ask for taxi, I will be expecting taxi runway 10 left via Charlie and Bravo. Okay, so let's see what we get. Let me just tidy up on my other screen. So we're good to go.
Aurora 311, request a taxi.
Aurora 311, taxi to holding point, runway 10 left via Foxtrot Bravo.
Taxi to holding point, runway 10 left via Foxtrot and Bravo, Aurora 311.
So another way of anticipating what you're going to get is to listen to what other aircraft are getting. Okay, so the tug's on, tug is attached, brakes off. Let's go. Let's get the ignition on, engine 2. Oh, well, left the tug behind, never mind.
563, вас понял, конец связи, добро пожаловать в Пулково, спасибо большое за полет, хорошего вечера.
Да, Иван.
Okay, so you don't want to... Well, we're not going to teach you how to taxi because that's not what we're here for. But I tend to taxi a bit too quickly sometimes, so let's take it a bit slower this time. Right, let's head outside. So we're on this first taxiway. Never was very good with left and right. Okay. Sorry for the silence, I just want to get this right.
Руление, добрый вечер. Победа 68-23, освободил по Альфа-2.
Победа 68-23, полк управления, здравствуйте, занимайте стенк 109 Браво по Альфа Чарли.
I really do need to work on my taxiing. There we go, that will do me. Right, parking brake on, get rid of the tug. Bye.
По Альфа Чарли. Победа 68-23.
Let's get, how we doing? We're not quite up there yet. Okay, I would expect it to be 19. It might be to do with the temperature. Right, let's get 2 going. Sorry, 1 I should say. There's a few more aircraft have popped up now. Okay, let's get the taxi light on. Flaps to 1. I'm going to put the TCAS on now, else I'll forget it. That's interesting. Okay, right. Now that click tells me that we're all good. Yeah, that number must be slightly low. It must be something to do with the temperature. Okay. Okay, then engine mode normal, APU bleed off. I know we can delay that sometime. APU master can go off. Okay, and then we're ready for taxi. I'm going to leave all these anti-ice measures on. I'm going to reduce these temperatures a little bit, or else they'll be cooking down the back. And obviously this is cockpit. Right, let's just make sure we're happy. Which I think we are. So yes, we're expecting taxi to 10 left via Charlie and Bravo. Fourth ground, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, ready for taxi.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, taxi to hold this point, runway 10 left via Charlie and Bravo.
Okay, exactly what we predicted. As for runway 10 left hand via Charlie and Bravo, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Okay, all good.
Aurora 311, работа пулковая вышка 108, correction, Aurora 311, contact пулковая tower, 118.7 from the south bay.
118.7, Aurora 311, thank you, goodbye.
Okay, brakes off, 10%.
Aurora 311, день для информации, если можно, чуть-чуть громкость микрофона уменьшить, очень громко вас слышно.
Я вас понял, уменьшим, Aurora 311.
Сибирь 153 освободили на Альфа-2.
Сибирь 163, полк управления, здравствуйте. Занимайте стоянку 107 Браво по Альфа Чарли.
Сибирь 153, повторите, пожалуйста.
Сибирь 153, полк управления, здравствуйте. Занимайте стоянку 107 Браво по Альфа Чарли.
Занимаем стоянку 107 по Альфа Чарли, Сибирь 153.
Сибирь 153, ошибка, стоянка 107 Браво по Альфа Чарли.
Okay, so the Neo can taxi quite happily on idle, or it certainly can in a sim. On the taxiways, you'll notice sometimes we have a green light down the centre line and sometimes a blue light on the edge, or sometimes both. Typically it's down to the wideness of the taxiway. If the taxiway is over 60 feet wide, you will have a green centre line. All that is looking good. Let's have a quick look at checks. So we should be doing our flight control checks. There's always a risk in doing that because it will attach to the nose wheel steering. So make sure we're still there. Okay, we are on idle, but we're gathering speed. Okay, transponder is on, set on and TCAS. Brakes, we have tried pressure, as in QNH is correct at 1016. Flaps are set. You need to slow down a little bit. Spoiler, let's arm the spoiler. Okay, brakes to max. I'm going to do a crew alert. And what else? That's anti-ice, and the anti-ice is absolutely selected, so we are good to go.
Управление, добрый вечер, 452, автомобиль по Альфа-2.
Теперь 55-92, полк управления. Здравствуйте, занимаете ТМК 109 Браво по Альфа Чарли.
109 Браво по Альфа Чарли, 5592.
Scandian 5-1 Tango, contact Pulko Tower, 198.7, have a nice flight, goodbye.
Well, I missed that because I didn't get the That's tower on 118.7, thank you, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango.
Ground, correction Pulko Tower, 198.7, have a nice flight, goodbye.
118.7, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, thanks, bye-bye. Right, tower tuned. Brake is on. Polkovo Tower, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, holding point for runway 10 left, ready for departure.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, Pulko Tower, hello. Line up runway 10 left and wait.
Line up and wait, runway 10 left, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Okay, line up and wait is the clearance, brakes off, 10%.
Расход 600 на предварительном Альфа-2, работайте по
10% and
управлению
instantly back to idle, or else we'll shoot off the runway lights.
Расход 600 на предварительном Альфа, работаем по управлению 120,7.
Okay.
Подтвердите 121,7.
121,7, расход 600.
Благодарю.
Slight overshoot. That's because I didn't go into idle. I thought I had. Okay. Brakes are on, and we are still on a lineup clearance only. So everything's looking good. The departure's in there. QNH is set. Just waiting for clearance. What we can do is get the departures frequency ready to go, which will be this one here, 1193, I guess. So you can press this button here and get it in standby. Well, it could be 1193 or it could be 1203 actually. I'm just going to have a look on the tap. So again, this is not unusual that we get a delay here because they are trying to put in some spacing between myself and that departure.
Scandinavian 5, correction, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, wind 120 degrees, 3 meters per second, runway 10 left, clear for takeoff, after departure contact Bulgo radar 120.3, have a nice flight, it's Apollo, ciao.
Yes, clear for takeoff, wind copied and after departure 120.3 for Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, thank you. Okay, clearance we have, okay, up to 40%. Looking for an even increase. Okay, brakes off. And rotate. Okay, positive rate of climb and gear up. Didn't take the button. There we go. Gear traveling. As soon as gear's up, back to 10 degrees. And I'm going to just reduce the throttles, get the autopilot in, and then I will change frequencies. Okay, autopilot in. Let's go. I'm going to bring the flaps up. Okay, 120.3 we have. Volkov departures, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango with you passing 2,600 feet for 3,500.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, Polk Operator Добрый вечер, identified, quantity, flight level 90, unrestricted.
Climb flight level 90, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, thank you. Okay, up we go then.
Airways cargo 99001, information X-ray, no significant changes, cleared, ILS approach, runway 10 right.
Okay, 90,
approach,
we have
10 right.
clear to a flight level, so I'm going to change to the standard pressure setting, 1013. Okay, everything's looking good, climbing nicely, following the SID. And the conversation with air traffic, fairly straightforward, check-in, call sign, level climbing to, and the level you're passing, and the reason they do that is to check your mode Charlie. The mode Charlie is the name given to the height readout that the controller will get on their screen, so they need to verify that that is correct. That is why they ask you what your level passing is. Or
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, contact Petersburg approach, 119.3, wish you a nice flight, goodbye.
119.3, thank you, bye-bye, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Confident young chap. Right, let's have a look. 119.3. Petersburg approach. Yeah, if you don't know the name, just call them approach. Approach Scandinavian 5-1 Tango with you.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, Petersburg approach, very good evening, identified, climb to flight level 260 unrestricted.
Climb flight level 260 unrestricted, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, thank you. Now, I'm actually breaking my own rules and advice here. I shouldn't say thank you, you should just keep it brief. Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, climb flight level 260. There's always a temptation to be nice if they're nice to you, but it's not entirely necessary. Okay, 10,000 feet checks. Let's take that off, let's get the lights off. We'll keep the seatbelt sign on for the minute. So I think we can take the icing off because the rules are generally, there is a figure which escapes me for the minute, but essentially you need to be experiencing cloud, which clearly we're not. So we'll keep an eye on that, but at the moment we're fine. I'm going to keep the lighting high just so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So we're all good, we're speaking to air traffic, we're cleared to 260, 260's in there, everybody's happy. 240 is the constraint speed. Let's see what the autopilot does, but it's looking pretty good at the moment. Let's just...
Scandinavian 5 Tango, clear direct to Ledum.
Right, here we go. Lyden, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. So, I'll be honest with you, there's an element of just making it up. When air traffic say route direct to, phonetically read it back, try and find it on the list. If you can't find it, then check. But that is clearly Lyden. Okay. So this is good. This is the frequency is not too busy. This is fairly straightforward air traffic sequence of events here through clearance delivery, taxi, departure. What I would say is don't be rushed by air traffic. If you need to wait and do checks, then tell them you will report ready for departure. If you get to the holding point, don't be rushed into to line up. If you need to get some checks done, then say I'm holding. I need 2 minutes. I'll report ready for departure. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because that is the safest option. And then we departed. We reported our level passing. And you need to do that once we're handed off to the second radar position, the en route controller. Then you don't necessarily need to call your level passing again, but it is wise to call the level you are climbing to. Also, you might find some controllers will say contact such and such an agency, call sign only, and it means precisely that. It just means check into the next frequency and just say your call sign. It's probably because it's a busy frequency and they don't want you giving all the standard, you know, I'm an A320. I mean, you shouldn't anyway, but you know, there is a tendency sometimes to say too much. Okay, so we're in the climb to 260. Everything's looking decent. We can take the seatbelt sign off. I'm just going to have a quick scan around just to make sure we are all good and happy. That's all looking good. I'm going to expand the range out now a little bit because we haven't got far to go. The blue line on here, if you don't know where the blue arrow is, I mean, there's a bit of a graphic issue there. The blue line should be touching the route. That is where the computer is telling you that you will level, and similarly when you're in the descent there will be a white arrow which is telling you, I think it's white, we'll see in a minute, which is telling you where you expect to be level. Now that can be very useful because air traffic will often tell you to be level by a certain point. And so this is very useful in the A320 NX. I presume it's in the Fenix as well, to assist you with that. But that arrow shouldn't be there. It should be here. I've never seen that before either. But there we go. I'm sure that'll be corrected in one of the next updates. Right, I was having a look around. Everything was looking good. I tend to put this back to fuel consumption, the fuel management. Let's have a look. We've got 184 miles to run. We're going to be cruising at 260. We'll have a look at the approach plate for Helsinki in a minute. And we're all good down there. And we're all good up there. Right. Yeah. Happy days. Right, let's have a quick look at Navigraph then and see what we've got in store. Right, so we are into Helsinki. 04 right hand is what we are expecting, and we are expecting the Ropem 3 Romeo for the RLS runway 04. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so it's telling me I'm going to expect to be 3,300 feet as a starter. Decision. So airport elevation is 180 feet. I'll explain why I'm just looking at these numbers in a minute. I just want to check that's the only ILS option because yeah, this was 04 right. Anyway, I'm just questioning the category of approach because it looks like this is 350. So it looks like I'm guessing here, but I don't think there would be an auto land, not that I was planning to use it, but normally the decision height would be a lot less, or decision altitude would be a lot less. So the decision altitude, height above sea level, decision height, height above ground, is 352. So when I just going to make a note of that, and so when I program in the approach phase into the MCDU, those figures are significant, 352, and to be honest, there's no reason why I can't get that in now. So 3,300 feet is where the approach starts from, and that's about 9 miles out. The ILS frequency is
311, clear direct, near gate.
111.5, and that's the other thing
Clear direct,
I
near
need to
gate,
check.
Aurora 311.
Okay, let's get rid of all that. So we might as well, well, the thing is, it's debatable whether it's worth programming the approach in, because air traffic haven't given us our approach yet, and it might change. It might not be the one that we're expecting. So in actual fact, I'm just going to sit tight for a minute. Right, let's see if I can find us. Scandinavian 51 Tango, that's where we are there. So while we've got a bit of time, we could have a bit of a scan of on VATSIM. Can be quite useful, these tabs across the top. Again, it's a bit like a table in Excel. You can order these lists alphabetically with A to Z, starting at the top, or Z to A, whichever you like. It can be useful for finding countries and what's manned at the time. So UK is Echo Golf, so you can have a look in here at all the Echo Golfs that are manned, and also so Liverpool, Bristol, Manchester, Kemble, even Kemble, that's a rare one. But what's very useful is over here, and you might not be able to see it because of the resolution, but you can see the time that the controller has been on for, and that gives a reasonable indication as to how long he might stay on for, because one of the big issues with VATSIM, unless it's an event, is that you could be on your way to an airfield hoping for some air traffic service, and then air traffic closes. You can play with all these tabs and see which aircraft are participating. If you've got friends out there on the network, you could possibly see them listed here, and you'll get information about their routing, ETAs and all that sort of thing. So it can be useful, but the main use for it is to see where you are in the overall picture. So what I can tell from this is that, well, it looks like we should have air traffic most of the way. It depends. Oh, no, sorry, yeah, it'd be all the way, wouldn't it? Because Helsinki is only here. It's only a short hop, so we should be handed straight to Finnish area control, and then to Helsinki approach, and then into the airfield. So let's see what happens. Let's get rid of this. Scandinavian 51 Tango is the course.
Peter, control X302, passing 263, information X-ray. 302, Peter, control shall identify information X-ray runway 108, descent to flight level 50, clear direct decom. Descending level 130 and direct decom, RX 302. RX 302, negative, flight level 50. 50, RX 302. Scandinavian 51, 10, contact, let's to control 135.6, good day.
135.6, Scandinavian 51 Tango. Okay, again, I didn't quite catch what that agency was, so let's take our time. 135.6. Okay, well, I haven't got a clue which agency that is, so let's see. Let's dial it up. 135.6. Right, so I'm just gonna tell you what. Let's have a look up here.
Архангельский 815, как поняли?
135.6. I'm just going to say radar.
Контроль 434, отойдем,
Pulk of control. Pulk of control.
434, Петербург, контроль. Не возражаю.
Pulk of control, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango with your level flight level 260.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, Piterborough control, flow identified.
Okay, standard response identified. If he doesn't tell you anything else, just carry on doing what you're doing.
Петербург контроль, здравствуйте еще раз, Фокстрот Индия Сьерра 187, эшелон 370, проходим точку Аблес.
Фокстрот Индия Сьерра 187, Петербург контроль, здравствуйте еще раз, опознаны. В Архангельске рассчитывайте ВП-08, а Беллу 2 Лима.
So yeah, if you don't quite catch everything,
по схеме Абеллу 2 Лима, Фокстрот Индия Сьерра 187.
you know, you could argue, you could go back and ask to say again, but you could be there all day. I would say catch the frequency. The frequency is the most important part, and that's what we got, 135.6. And then there are a couple of ways of finding out who that is. You can have a look on VATSIM or on here.
Petersburg, good evening, this is EZ399.
See where the frequency is, double click it, and then you can see down here who you're speaking to.
Radar 119.1, thank you.
Goodbye. EZ399, pitch control flow identified, Akar 1 Alpha arrival, runway 10 right.
Okay, so the white arrow I was talking about is in fact the point at which you should start your descent. So let's have a look at the manual calculations. So we've got 126 miles to run, and we need to get down to 3,300 feet. So we have 22,700, call it 23,000 feet to lose, which typically would be a 69-mile descent point, plus 10 for losing speed. So about 80 miles, so we've got a little way to run.
EZ399, that's correct, Akar 1 Alpha arrival.
80 miles is in about 40 miles time, which makes sense with this white arrow, which is also in about 40 miles time.
This is EZ399.
So the significance of that calculation is if air traffic don't start you down, then you need to call it if they delay that a little bit after that arrow.
Архангельский 815, ветер у земли 140 градусов 1 метр в секунду, поправка 4 метра в секунду, ВП-08, исполнитель ждет, разрешаю.
So the language of air traffic around the world is English. You will find in some countries they may well revert to their own language sometimes. This may be a VATSIMism that we're subject to here with the guy speaking in Russian. I'm not sure. I would imagine if any country is going to revert to its own language with some of its own crews, it would be Russia, but we will see. But it's not been it's been pretty clear tonight generally, apart from the odd agency, but that's because we're not used to the names and we're not used to hearing what names are coming our way, what to expect.
Scale 5-1 Tango, descent to flight level 120.
Descent flight level 120, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Okay, so we're starting this down now quite early.
Good evening, Aurora 311, on flight level 230.
Aurora 311, Peterborough control, flow identified.
So, because that's quite an early descent, I'm going to have a quick look
5 minutes out of cockpit
at determining the rate of descent, because we don't need 3 degrees, I would suggest. Quick refresher about how to get a 3-degree glide path is look at your ground speed, take the first 2 digits, chop them in half, and so that would be 2,000 feet a minute, would give us a 3-degree glide path, which is standard. So I would say I probably need no more than 1,500 at the moment, so I'm going to put that in manually. Okay, so the blue arrow is telling me where I will be level, given the current level in the autopilot, and the white arrow is telling me where I need to carry on down. So that is that's positive. You don't want the blue arrow to be ahead of the white arrow, and somewhere in there I've got to slow down. So that's all good. Again, we've got the approach in there. Fingers crossed they will give me that ROPM 3 Romeo for the ILS to 04 right, but if they don't, we'll have to do a little bit of reprogramming. I'm waiting for the 10,000 feet checks, at which point I will start getting hit the localizer button. In fact, that reminds me, let's just check that the correct frequency is in there for the ILS at Helsinki, which it is 111.5. So that's good. So far, so good. Again, nothing stopping you listening in to these frequencies in observer mode, but so far this has been quite a good demonstration, certainly in terms of standard phraseology that you would expect to hear.
3998, descend to throttle 140 and contact Peterborough approach 119.3. Goodbye.
So again, you can adjust this rate of descent if you wish. I know we're going away from VATSIM here. You can adjust the rate of descent if need be. You just need to make sure,
Descending flight level 140,
I would say anyway, that blue line, the blue arrow needs to be in front or before the white arrow on the route. I would argue that this is probably a more economical way of descending.
Aircraft, we need to disconnect. Thank you for control. Goodbye.
Civilian 1236, Roger. Have a good night. Goodbye. Архангельский 615, опознан. Драч, 1360.
Okay, while I've got a minute, let's have a look at the airport at Helsinki. So again, it's trying to get ahead of the game. Normally you'd have a co-pilot to do this for you. 04 right is where we're heading. So looks like it should be a fairly simple taxi back. So yeah, not too concerned about that. Famous last words. I'm just going to reduce range on there.
Airflow 1008, прослушивайте, Unicom 120-20-8, до свидания.
Прибытие Unicom, больше садился на аэрофлот 1008.
Лукойл 101, вас перебито, повторите.
Аэрофлот 101, прибытие 10 правое, ген по 1 виски.
Лукойл 101, ошибка, ген по 1 альфа.
Ген по 1 альфа, Лукойл 101.
Scandinavian 51 Tango, contact Helsinki radar 119.1. Goodbye.
Helsinki radar 119.1. Thank you, Scandinavian 51 Tango.
Good night.
Bye now. Everything is very pleasant. Right, Helsinki 119.1. There we are. Approach.
Победа 200.
Helsinki radar, good evening. Scandinavian 51 Tango with you in the descent flight level 120.
Scandinavian 51 Tango, Helsinki radar contact. ROPM 3 Mike arrival, runway 15.
ROPM 3 Mike for runway 15. That's the ROPM 3 Mike approach for runway 15, Scandinavian 51 Tango. Okay, not what I was expecting. Let's have a reprogram. ILS 15. And it was the ROPM 3 Mike. There we go. Insert. Right. Good. I'm kind of glad this has happened. I'm just going to increase rate of descent because that blue line is getting a little bit close to the white one. So I'm actually going to hit the up button and
707,
no, I'm
descend to
not.
5,000
Stick to
feet,
plan A.
QNH
Just going to increase
1014.
rate of descent.
Contact arrival,
Right, where was I? Let's get the plan in.
Aeroflot 707, descend
And
5,000
I want to check this route in here now, so let's have a look.
119.9 will approach and QNH 1014.
So on my other screen, I am having to reprogram as well. I'm changing the runway to 15.
Finna 7 Zulu. Descend to 7
Arrivals, what was it? The Ropum 3 Mike.
Speed 240 and repeat the altitude for Finnair 70.
And the approach was the ILS to 15. Okay,
70 for
so
Finnair
that's
70.
all been reprogrammed. I'm just having a look at the points now. So we should be Hotel Kilo 817, Hotel Kilo 941, SUTAX, and then manual, which means essentially expecting vectoring. I'm sure I will be vectored. If not, we'll vector ourselves, frankly. I'm sure we'll be vectored. But that's good. That's all in there. 15. So what I have to do now is have a look at that approach chart again, because that's all changed.
51 Tango. Descend to flight level 100.
Descend flight level 100, Scandinavian 51 Tango. When you are given a descent to flight level 100 or 200 or 300 or a climb to 100, 200, 300, then we use the word 100. If you are given a heading of 100, then you use 100. The only time you say 100 in this context anyway is for levels. It didn't always used to be the case. It was introduced, I believe, to again change that chance for somebody confusing a level with a heading. So levels 100, 200, 300, 400 potentially.
Finnair 7 Zulu, speed 220 knots, descend to 5,000 feet, QNH 1014, please expedite descent.
Right, 220 knots and send 5,000, 1014.
Okay, so I'm having a look at the approach chart now. Let's drag it over. We're going to have to be fairly quick. So 363 is the decision altitude. So actually very similar to what it was, but we can plug that in now. Let's get rid of that. Oops. Right, QNH for Helsinki is, in fact, that reminds me, seatbelt sign. We are, sorry chaps,
Finnair 7 Zulu, speed 180 knots.
Speed 180, Finnair 7 Zulu.
Lights. Icing, I'm not too worried about at the moment. I will keep an eye on that and we will hit the localizer button. Right, having to speed through this now. So QNH for Helsinki is 1014. It's not super crucial from a flight sim perspective that we get the approach phase programmed in, but I like to do it if I can. -4. Temperature. The wind is 180.
Controller here, Finnair 784 on the landing level 100 for the use
180, 2 knots.
3 Mike 1015.
And what do we say the barrow was? The decision height is 363.
Zulu, contact arrival 119.9.
119.9, Finnair 7
Okay,
Zulu.
that's good. That's all in there. Back to flight plan. Armor spoiler, although we may well need to use that anyway. Let's bring down the range here. I'm happy with where we are at the moment. There's some constraints in here which the autopilot should take care of. We are level at 100, which is correct. We're all good there. Seatbelt sign is on. All the lights are on. I'm happy. What do we say? The QNH was 1014, but we don't put that in there just yet. 250 knots below flight level 100. We're at flight level 100 now. So 250 knots is what was flight planned.
51 Tango, descend to flight level 70.
70. Descend flight level 70, Scandinavian 51 Tango. In fact, I'm going to go managed now. Okay, everything's looking...
Scandinavian 51 Tango, speed 240 knots.
240 knots, Scandinavian 51 Tango. Okay, now we're going to get speed direction, so let's put that in there. Let's see if the aircraft deals with that. Have to reduce the rate of descent just to bring us down that 10 knots. I'm not going to use the air brake because the aircraft is just going to very temporarily, briefly I should say, reduce our rate of descent to get back to 240 and then resume the usual rate. So that's all good. We're down to 240 knots and we'll carry on down. Yep, all good. Again, this is an air traffic exercise, not necessarily a flight sim exercise, but this is all going in a fairly routine sort of way.
Scandinavian 51 Tango, descend to 5,000 feet, QNH 1014, speed to 200 knots.
200 knots. Let's send 5,000, 1014 QNH and down to 200 knots, Scandinavian 51 Tango. Okay, so I am going to get the air brake out now just to get us down to that speed. And let's get 5,000 in there on 1014. Okay, that's in there. Speed's coming back. It's all good. The autopilot is doing his thing. Everything is looking good. Okay, I've got a bit of cloud, so I am going to put the anti-icing on. Again, I'm not a professional commercial pilot by any stretch of the imagination, but that seems to be the commonsensical thing to do as far as I'm concerned. So flaps, I think now we're at 200, I'm going to put the first stage of flap down. Normally that'll do me for the minute. So the localizer instrumentation has come up.
Scandinavian contact arrival 119.9.
119.9. Arrivals 119.9, Scandinavian 51 Tango. A lot of frequency changes in this short space of time. Okay, let's go 119. 1199, there we go. There. Helsinki arrivals, Scandinavian 51 Tango with you in the descent 5,000 feet, QNH 1014.
Osprey 707, reduce speed immediately at 180.
Set speed 180.
And descent 2000, descent right heading 170.
Descent 2000 and heading 170.
Good evening, arrival, Scandinavian 021 video.
Hello 031, arrival radar contact, descent 2000.
Descent 2000, 021.
Osprey 707, and now right heading 200, clear to LS15.
Arrival Scandinavian 51 Tango with you, level 5,000 feet, QNH 1014.
Scandinavian 51 Tango, arrival radar contact number 4, speed 180.
Number 4, reducing 180, Scandinavian 51 Tango. Okay, down to 180 knots.
Osprey 707, right heading 240.
240.
Sinä 7 Zulu Tower 118.
118.6 stage of flap.
Sinä 5 Tango 5 on Tango, correction Scandinavian 5 on Tango, descent 2000.
Descent 2,000 feet, Scandinavian 51 Tango. Okay, down to
Scandinavian
2,000.
031, direct Jalku.
Interesting that, because thought the procedure started at 3,000. In fact, no, 3,300 was on the other runway. 2,000 it is for this one. Indeed, it is. Okay. The minute we go into cloud, these brightnesses seem to develop a bit of a mind of their own. But there we go.
707, confirm speed 180.
Speed 180.
So let's have a look at where we are. Everything's looking good. The runway's over there. That is.
Scandinavian 51 Tango leaves Sutax heading 320.
After Sutax heading 310, Scandinavian 51 Tango. So Sutax is ahead of us. So 310 is the heading, so let's get that in there now. And then the minute we're past Sutax, we will hit the down arrow, and that will become our manual vector. Not our manual vector, that will become our vectored heading. So let's wait for Sutax, but everything is good. We're in the descent to 2,000. Speed is at 180. Let's just make sure that that's in. That's good. 180 knots. We could be at flap 3 actually, but I'm going to wait for the minute. Everything's good up there.
Scandinavian 120 knots until Elkun, then 180 until 6. Clear ILS 15.
There's a red out coming in, 2,500.
Cleared ILS runway 15.
Osprey 707, reduce your speed to 180 now, please.
Set speed to 180.
So Sutax 0.2 of a mile, so let's get that. Oh, it's gone. 310, the heading. Okay. So 310.
Scandinavian 51 Tango, turn now left heading 270.
Left 270, Scandinavian 51 Tango. Left 270. Runway heading is 150, typically looking for a 40-degree cut onto the ILS. 210 is good, 180 knots is good. I am going to go with another stage of flap. We have got, well, we're not picking up the ILS at the moment, which is interesting. In fact, I'll tell you why. 109.1. Oh no, we're in now.
Kilo, Finnair 70 on the go run.
Hello, Finnair 7 Zulu radar contact.
I would expect us to be picking up the ILS at this point,
Setting
if I'm being
075,
perfectly
Finnair
honest.
70.
But we're not. That's interesting.
Scandinavian 71 report established block guys said.
Scandinavian 031, thank you, speed 180 until 6, then 160 until 4.
09.1.
16 until 6 and 14 until 4. 021.
ILS DME 109.1, it's the correct frequency.
180 until 6 and 160 until 4.
180 until 6.
So this could be
and
interesting.
160
So let's
until 4.
get the cabin call out. We might have to take over visually. Spoilers arm.
Scandinavian 51 Tango, turn now left heading 185, clear ILS 15.
Turn left heading 185 and cleared the ILS for 15. Scandinavian 51 Tango.
Scandinavian 031, contact tower on 8.6, bye-bye.
Tower 118.6 for 021. So long.
Yeah, well,
707, please reduce your speed. You are not reduced it. Turn now right heading 355.
so this is not what I would expect to see. We're not picking up the ILS.
Slow speed.
So I'm going to have to do this manually. And I'm going to continue.
Left heading 330.
Left heading 330, Finnair 70.
Right, so I'm going to have to tell a little bit of a porky here, and I'm going to say that we are localizer established. In fact, no, I'm not. I can't do that. Right, this is interesting. Wind is off. Alright, I'm going to go for the approach phase here.
Health gauge traffic here, Finnair 74 on approaching runway 5.
Hello, Finnair 74, I will radar contact right heading 330.
Right heading 330, Finnair 74.
Helsinki, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. We're not picking up the ILS, we're going to continue visually if that's approved.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, ATC, that's approach, visual approach, correction, clear, visual approach, contact tower 118.6.
18.6, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, thank you. Right, I'm going to have to concentrate here, folks, because we haven't got an ILS, so let's just get across the tower. Let's get the gear down. Let's get the speed down. This is not textbook. Okay, we definitely need. Helsinki down at Scandinavian 5-1 Tango with you. We've lost the ILS, continuing visually for runway 15.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango still on the arrival frequency.
Fantastic. It's all going pear-shaped.
Break back, scan Finnair 784 left heading 200.
Scandinavian Tower, hello, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango with you, continuing visually for runway 15.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, continue approach.
Continue approach, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Well, this is what happens when you lose the ILS. We are high and we are fast. This is not a textbook, but I'm going to continue so we can show you the air traffic.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, wind calm, runway 15 clear to land. The landing, switch to ground. Bye-bye.
Clear to land, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Right, let's get rid of the throttle. Right, it's an early...
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Sorry chaps, that's not textbook, but we had a bit of an inject there. Let's just get off this runway as soon as I can. Well, it went well for the most part. Okay, right, brakes on. Let's clean up. Right. Yeah, that went a bit pear-shaped, didn't it, at the end? I'm not quite sure why I wasn't picking up the ILS. Let's get that, leave that taxi light on. Just get the flaps up, down, and let's get across the ground.
Connect 1014. Push is approved, change 1014, 0.06.
Right, I'm just looking at my other screen and working out where I am. Okay, Helsinki ground, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango with you.
Scandinavian 5-1 Tango, good evening, taxi by Yankee Alpha Charlie to stand 29.
Taxi via Yankee Alpha and Charlie to gate 29, Scandinavian 5-1 Tango. Right, so Yankee and Alpha Charlie. Okay, so right turn here, then down here to 29. Let's do it. Brakes off, 10%. Thanks.
Taxi 20 point Zulu Golf.
Taxi Jordan point Zulu Golf and 819.
Finnair 6 Roma Lima contact tower 118.6, thank you.
Tower 18.6.
Those are going so well.
6 Roma Lima, kiitos, moro.
Finnair 3 Bravo contact tower 118.6, thank you.
16 Finnair 3 Bravo 8.
Finnair 3-1. Give way to company Airbus 320, pressure Delta Fox.
We have an insert and leaving taxi before. Very good.
Okay, so all we're going to do here now is taxi back. So I don't think there's much value in you guys watching this. As I say, this was a tutorial in VATSIM. Obviously things were a little bit pear-shaped at the end when we couldn't pick up the ILS. I'm still not quite sure why that was. I've never seen that before. But in the real world, if you can acquire the runway visually, then say that and continue the approach without the use of ILS. Clearly that was all a bit rushed, and in the real world I would have gone around. But hopefully that was useful. I think we saw the majority of the approach. That went well enough to learn something from, and the en route phase as well. So I think I'm inclined to try that again at some point, and hopefully it will go well from start to finish. But hopefully you've got something out of that, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.